How's it going this morning? Well, here's another installment of Burton Road. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning again. I think it's Saturday. I work nights, I forget what day it is. But anyway, I just wanted to this will be the last one of Burton Road, I think. We don't have too many stories from there because, we rode bikes and ran around, and that's something kids don't do these days, I don't think. They might still somewhere, but when I was a kid, we'd ride 20 miles to go ride some jumps. And just up from the house there on Burton Road, well, across the street, I should say, across the street, across Burton Road, there was a nice neighborhood called Foxtrot, I think. But anyway, it was kind of built on a hill, and we'd ride down the streets, and it had a long hill that had some good bumps going down. We'd get our bikes going fast, I don't know, probably 40 miles an hour, maybe 35, 40 miles an hour. But there was a place that we called the Honda Hills, and it was where the power lines ran through, and there was no houses. Well, guys that have the dirt bikes out there, and they had made trails. Well, we decided to ride our bikes on those trails also, and they really weren't conducive to bicycles. But you could ride around the neighborhood and go up to the very top, and a little scary. It's a pretty good drop-off dirt hill. And it's pretty high too, probably maybe 50 foot, top to bottom, and it was fairly steep. And you'd get going real good. We'd ride down that hill and go down. Then there was a like dry creek bed you rode down into. Then you could jump out on the end, and you get back out on the road and you ride back around. We do that all day long. My parents wondered why I went through bicycles so fast. I beat the snot out of them. Nothing to go out jumping with it. But like I said, that was a lot of my summer and weekends. If it wasn't raining, I was out riding my bike, doing something. There was another story that came up that I remembered. It was actually about my sister and her. I guess it was one of her first serious boyfriends that turned into her husband and her ex-husband. Well, now I told you my dad liked to fight. He was always kind of an authoritarian anyway. But anyway, Danny was over, which was his name. He was over, and they were sitting there in Cherie's room, and I can't remember what time it was, but my dad felt like it was time for Danny to go home. So he told him, he said, "It's time to get ready to go home." And Cherie said, "Well, he's got to put on his shoes." So Dad's sitting there waiting for a few minutes, and then he hollers back there, "How many damn feet does he have?" Well, Danny, being a young boy, I think he was 17 at the time, full of piss and vinegar, I think he said 6 or 9 or something like that. He's some smart ass remark. Anyway, Dad got up, walked back there, and dragged Danny out of the house. I don't know if there was a physical altercation, because I was told to stay in the living room. But they were outside screaming and hollering for a little bit. And Danny left. Danny wasn't allowed around for a while. and then I think it just kind of blew over after a while. But yeah, it was one of those like Al Bundy things, Dad dragging Danny out of the house. It was quite funny. But yeah, nobody really liked Danny, and Sheree ended up marrying him anyway. I think that's why she did it, because nobody really liked him. I think she did just to be spiteful. I don't know. But that was the big event there at Burton Road. Then, I told you about my friend Gary and his older brother. Well, there was some other kid. Well, before we get to that, let's get to some of the reasons why I'm amazed I still like dogs. So I meant to tell this story too. There was an Asian kid that lived up the street, and I can't remember what his name was. But his neighbors had a pair of huskies. And I was over at his house, we were talking about it. And he's like, "Oh, you want to go over next door and meet the dogs? They're sweet. They're huskies, Okay. So we go around there and we open the gate, and I'm the first one to step in to see these huskies. They were pretty dogs. Until they started growling and biting and knocking me down and trying to chew my leg off. My friend had to take me and literally pull me out of the gate while another friend slammed the gate on the dogs. I didn't really get bit. They were just pretty much biting my jeans and stuff like that, but it scared the hell out of me. That's twice in my life a dog tried to kill me already, and I'm like 10, 11 years old already. So it's kind of amazing I still like dogs. And speaking about dogs, when I was a kid, every summer for 2 weeks we'd go back to Missouri to visit my grandparents. Well, at the time we had little Daisy, which she was she's a border collie and mutt mix. Kind of looked like a Benji dog, but she was gray and white. And then we had one of her puppies, which was Spot, and he was dumber than a box of rocks. He was some kind of Springer Spaniel. And then we had this new puppy. He was just barely weaned when we left. They called him Bear because he was real fluffy, and his face was the only thing that was really smooth on him. He was fluffy all the way around. So we called him Bear. So anyway, me and my sister go to see my grandparents in Missouri. And we're there, and Mom calls to check how everything is. And well, the dogs have escaped and ran away. Now, me and my sister both knew that the dogs didn't really like to get out of the backyard. And to this day, my mother still swears up and down that she had nothing to do with the dogs disappearing. No, I mean, it's been, 40 years ago. It really doesn't matter that much. Dad didn't like the dogs. He caught Spot one time chewing on his shoe. And the house was, everything was connected. You could run completely around the house in a circle. It's a ranch style house, but my parents' bathroom had 2 doors and it emptied into the laundry room, and then that went into the kitchen, so you could just make laps. Well, anyway, he's making laps, throwing these shoes at Spot for I don't know how long, probably 3 days, I think. My dad stayed mad forever. They had a bed one time. Real quick story. They had a bed one time. And I think the frame was bent on it, but every once in a while the bed would slide off the frame. Well, Dad was trying to get a nap in, and he was probably a little hungover anyway, more than likely. Well, anyway, we're in there, and all of a sudden we hear some screaming, yelling, breaking, and everything. We run back there, and Dad has completely smashed that bed frame and box spring. They had to buy, I'm sure they had to buy a whole new bed and everything at the time. But yeah, Dad broke the bed completely. So yeah, his temper was his temper. But anyway, after he gets done chasing the dog around with hitting him with the shoe, anytime you'd be in the house and the dog be around, you'd say, well, where's my shoes at? Or I gotta go get my shoes, I gotta put my shoes on. Well, the dog would cower and run and hide in a corner, thinking he was gonna get hit by a shoe. The dog was abused. But anyway. But yeah, Dad didn't like the dog. Dad was never a big dog person, so maybe he got rid of the dogs. Probably gave them away or something. Who knows? It really doesn't matter at this point. Now, like I said, it's been 30 freaking years. Or 40. It's been 40 years. So, anyway, that doesn't matter, but it's still funny. Well, also on Burton Road. This will be one of my last stories about Burton Road, then we'll move on to 94th, or back tonight when we move back over to by 94th. But anyway, I'd met some friends, and I can picture them, but I can't remember their face or their names. And anyway, it was a girl and a couple other guys. Anyway, we're running around. Well, like I said, this is 1984, 85, something like that. So I'm 11, 12. And my parents always smoked. Well, these kids smoked. Well, I wanted to be with these kids and smoke. Fucking dumbass. But anyway, they give me a cigarette and I'd sit there and just puff on it. I wouldn't inhale it, I'd just puff on it. Well, we're sitting out there in the park, because there was a park in the middle of the subdivision there. Like I said, it was a pretty big subdivision. But they started getting after me about not inhaling. I was just wasting cigarettes and stuff. I wasn't really smoking. Well, I take a drag off a cigarette and well, first time you inhale a cigarette, for those of you who have never smoked, it's like sticking a hot poker down your throat, and you gag and cough and hack and nearly throw up. Throat's raw and it hurts. And right there, that should tell you probably don't need to be smoking. But the thing is, after you get done with all that, next time you inhale, it's fine. You burn all the hair off your throat, and it gets raw, and now you're a smoker, I guess. But yeah, I've always thought about that, thinking back on it, thinking, that should have told me something. That should have told me I shouldn't be smoking. So, but anyway, I didn't smoke long then. I was more or less just playing around with it. That comes in much later, or a few years later, I should say. But yeah, that was Burton Road though. Kind of got to where I was running around and doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing, and learned how to have a little fun doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. Got my ass whooped a few times. Got better at not getting caught is what I did. But anyway, when we come on the next video, we'll talk about the move back over by 94th Street. the second time, and what happened over there and the people I met there. So stay tuned for the next video, and be patient. I know some of these are a little dry and a little short on the stories, but after a few more videos, things start getting a little juicy. So we'll get into all that, but y'all take it easy. I'm gonna go get some sleep because I still gotta work tonight, I guess you'd say. So take it easy, guys. I'll talk to you later.